And welcome to Jmore's JBiz Entrepreneur Series, featuring accomplished entrepreneurs from a variety of industries throughout the greater Baltimore area. I'm your host, Gary Stein, and the series is brought to you by Nemphos Braue, offering big firm expertise and boutique service with lawyers experienced in all aspects of business and corporate law. Nemphos Braue focuses on building true strategic partnerships with their clients, and they strongly support entrepreneurs and emerging businesses. Their subsidiary, Old Line Government Affairs, provides government relations, procurement, and state lobbying services, as well as strong Maryland relationships and bipartisan access. For more information, go to nemphosbraue.com. That's spelled NEMPHOSBRAUE.com. Today, a really interesting story, and you see the big smile on my face, and there's a good reason why. We're going to do something a little bit different from what we've done in the past and what more often than not grabs the business headlines these days. Today is a story of a family business, a 100-year-old business, a fifth-generation business, an iconic Baltimore business. This is all the same business, by the way, and has tradition to live up to and a new technological age to grow into. It's the story of National Lumber. I'm sure you've heard of them. It's the lone survivor among many lumber companies that have dotted Baltimore's landscape since the early 1900s. Our guests, as you can see, Kevin and Neal Fruman, brothers. They basically run the company. Thank you guys for joining us. And Kevin, you're older than Neal, correct?
I am older, better looking, and fatter. Neal's taller and smarter.
And I was not going to say wiser, but if you did, I will. So
Yes, he's smarter and taller.
But since you are older, we're going to go age before beauty, and we're going to toss you the first question. And that really is, I mean, we can't get into the story about National Lumber for the last 100 years until we go back to the beginning, back to 1919, when you're fifth generation, right? So great grandfather started the business. You were not there, but take us back and kind of give us the roots of how this thing started.
Yes, so in the early 20s, my great grandfather, who spoke English, and his father started a window and door sash millwork company in Little Italy. So the fifth generation was someone who, his name was Alexander. He didn't speak English. Started this very small millwork company in East Baltimore. And that's kind of how it began, with very small operation, windows, doors, sashes. A lot of the millwork that was made and created in Baltimore City morphed into a lumber company over time. But it began as a very small operation in Little Italy in the early 20s.
Right. So Neal, if I'm not mistaken, and Kevin just said it was in Little Italy, it was on Stiles Street, if I'm not mistaken. With not missing too many beats here, how did your family take it from a small operation in a small location in Little Italy to take us through time of where you guys went from there?
Absolutely. First, Gary, thanks for inviting us to be on with you.
It's a pleasure
to tell our story. Obviously, we're very entrenched in the Jewish community in Baltimore, so we're excited to be on here and talk a little bit about our business. So the business started with our grandfather's grandfather repairing windows and doors, and it kind of morphed over time. It kind of evolved. Kevin noted when we talked to you the other day, as kind of our preview, at one point in time in the 40s, 50s, 60s, there were 30, 40, 50, 60 lumber companies. I don't know how many, 20 companies, 30 companies, several lumber companies all over Baltimore, and many of them were Jewish owned, and they were all in individual neighborhoods. There was, Inner Harbor Lumber, and Kevin can answer them. Little Italy Lumber.
Every town, Randallstown Lumber had a lumber, Essex Lumber, Dundalk Lumber, every little spot. And there were a lot of Jewish merchants that owned these businesses.
And over time, as things have consolidated, these big national chains have come in, we've tried to figure out how to grow and come of age, essentially, because lumber is a commodity like milk or oil, whatever it might be. So, it's not a super profitable venture compared to some other building products that potentially we can sell, that we can buy and sell. So over time, you're asking how did things evolve. We went from Little Italy, and then we had a little business in Canton, I think in the 50s and 60s, and then ultimately we landed on Pulaski Highway, which is where we are now. And I think we realized over time, much of the foresight was with my father and grandfather, to be relevant, to exist, we have to sell other products aside from just lumber. So our name is somewhat, misleading. People that we know socially just think that we sell lumber specifically, but our business is selling various products. We sell windows, and we sell doors, and we sell cabinetry, and we sell lumber. Really anything that a builder or remodeler or somebody who's building an apartment community is able to procure to help build their project. So I hope that's kind of a good intro as to how we've evolved.
Yeah,
Let
no,
me-
absolutely.
Let me follow up real quick. What happened was in the late 60s, the business was in Canton on the Canton Square, 2900 Elliott Street, right in the Canton Square today, or off of it. And the state of Maryland came to my grandfather and said, "We are going to build the East-West Highway here, and you need to move." So at that point, he was forced to move. And in hindsight, it's almost luck that he was able to purchase a piece of property, now 4901 Pulaski Highway, on the busiest east-west thoroughfare in Baltimore City. So had that highway never been proposed, who knows what would have happened? Because we have a space that we can continue to build on and operate our vehicles and our walk-in traffic easily every day now. So a big part of our success today is a sheer where we're located from the physical part of our geography.
I think a lot of people are interested in a family business, but haven't had the pleasure or whatever other adjective you want to associate with it of having even the opportunity to be in a family business. So my question to you, and Neal, I'll toss it to you, Kevin, you can add on, is what's it like? Like, do you guys, what's your family like? What's the family business like? The culture of it?
Well, it's definitely very different than many of our competitors that are these giant, regional or national companies. That we are entrenched in the business. We're here, so we're interacting with everybody. There's definitely a family dynamic, and that's the selling point to our team members. We want them to be here. Hopefully, it's a very comfortable environment. It's not a cold, environment. Where everybody knows one another. Our father, who, obviously we both look up to very much, who has laid a really good foundation for our business. He's here all the time. People ask him questions. He acts more or less in an advisory role, helping teach our sales guys. He works with our purchasing department. So what's it like to work in a family business? It's definitely challenging. I mean, we see lots of family businesses both in Baltimore, and we have lots of friends in family businesses around the country in our space, and everybody has their individual challenges, but it's great. I mean, we're lucky. We seem to get along. We try to put the business first, which is definitely very important, and we all seem to row in the same direction and get along. So I think we feel very fortunate, and we feel an obligation to keep this thing moving. So it's special. We're lucky to be in this environment. What would you say, Kevin?
I mean, I would say that we all understand, Gary, that the business is bigger than us. So there's not an egomaniac flying around here.
Good point.
You would never know that anybody is above anybody. We sit with our people. And the one thing that I think Neal and I and my dad, we're all very competitive people. And we come to work every day to win. The goal is to win. So look, it's not a game because there's lots of dollars that are involved, but our goal is to win. Like Vince Lombardi says, nobody remembers who comes in second place. We want to get the order. How do we get the order? What do we do every day? What's best for the business? If you do that every day, then you're going to be successful in the sense it's not about the individual, it's about the group, it's about the team as a whole. That's why we're successful.
We definitely go to market trying to promote ourselves as a family business as opposed to a corporation. So If there's a dispute, like we're certainly not perfect. We tell people we're not saving lives. We're just selling building materials, but we want to be a resource to builders and homeowners. And if something goes wrong, obviously we want to do our best to fix it. We want to do our best. Business has definitely become more challenging since COVID, for sure. We want people to be able to reach out and contact us specifically, and we want to be available. And a lot of that comes from the environment we try to push off as a family business.
Got it.
And Gary, these items are going into people's homes. It's very personal to them.
Yeah.
We take it very seriously. We look at it from their mindset. What would they, how are they feeling? So, it may not seem like it's important, but to a lot of people, their front door, their windows, their cabinetry, we're either building somebody's dream or we're helping them get what they've worked so hard for.
Yep.
And the business has really, Gary, become very challenging since COVID with supply chain issues. So it really, it's caused a lot more headaches, but our goal is to do a good job, to be a resource to people in the community, and to have a good reputation and to keep this thing moving.
So I do want to talk about the COVID issue, because everybody that we have on this series has different stories about how COVID may have affected them. But I want to get to that a little later. I want to jump into something. We had the pleasure of talking yesterday, and I appreciate that. And then in the open today, I mentioned, look, lumber companies, as you know, have come and gone from Baltimore's landscape over the last 100 years. You guys have survived. Not only have you survived, you thrived, not only in Baltimore, but now down in DC. And I know you have plans for further expansion, which is terrific. But my question is, have you ever thought about why National Lumber survived? Maybe not why the other ones didn't, because I don't know if you know that or not, but why you guys have lasted for 100 years?
Well, clearly we both have only been here since around 2000, so it's not because of us, right? But, I think that you got to give a lot of credit to my father for, he's selfless. He definitely put the business first, and his goal was to do what he could to grow it. And we've been able to, our industry, I don't want to say is stale, but it has not progressed like other industries. So I think we've been able to do a good job of incorporating technology and getting a good crew that all wants to move in the right direction. We've really made a concerted effort to push into DC, which has been great for us. We're lucky. The building environment, the building business is not something that Amazon can truly take over. People need to touch things. They're heavy windows. People need to interact with people. You review a set of plans. This isn't like tourism where you can go online, and the travel agency business, unfortunately, kind of went away with the internet. People need to build things, and building is a staple of our economy. So we're here, and fortunately, there's lots of demand. People will always build things. People will always renovate things. So our challenge is, how do we be efficient? How do we do a good job? How do we have lean systems? How can we measure things, and how can we get better? How can we get the best possible team members? Because the demand is there. People are going to build. The goal is for those people to come to us instead of our competition. And at this point in time, most of our competition are very large companies. Some are publicly traded, some are private equity firms. So we're really competing with giants, but we're able to buy things, the right way. And we have buying power through buying groups. And it just comes back to people interacting with people, and Kevin and I being accessible, even as we scale. If we were to double our business, we want to be available. I would say that our goal is to incorporate technology and to have the best possible people, because that's really what it's all about. And if we can treat our people well, then they'll go out and do a good job and represent the business well. Do you have anything to add to that, Kevin? How have we succeeded?
I would say there's 4 things, Gary. I mentioned before, our location is critical. We take it for granted, I think, sometimes. We are on one of the busiest streets in Baltimore. So
Absolutely.
Forget about our walking traffic. How we maneuver our vehicles to 95, to 895, to 83, to 695 through the city, we're blessed. We're tremendously fortunate where we're located. Neal and I truly believe this. We have the best people. We have the greatest knowledge, personality. We just have an incredible, diverse group of salespeople, operations people, our drivers, our accounting staff, each department. And the other thing I would say is how we've been able to survive. There's always been a next generation, Gary. Is that luck?
Mm-hmm.
My dad went into the business. Neal and I went into the business. Who knows? But there's people behind us. And the last thing I would mention is really attributed to my grandfather and my dad. they've been incredibly smart with their money. They haven't, they've always said, my grandfather used to always stress to Neal and I, and to my dad, make sure there's money in the business. Make sure you always have money in the business. Don't suck it out. And that's how we live. We don't live crazy, lavish lifestyles. We're very simple at the end of the day.
Well, like you said, you're engaged in the business. I mean, you're in the business. You
We
know,
are
it's
in
not,
business.
there's no separation between you and the business. You are the business.
Well, yeah, we are. I mean,
We're-
we have to give credit to my father for setting this tone. He wants to be engaged. We've got a great team, and we're lucky to be in an industry where there's a ton of demand.
Yeah.
Building does not stop. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can do a good job and be part of it.
Yeah, and Gary, one thing I would add is we're just incredibly accessible. Neal, my dad, our people, myself, people call us, we pick up the phone right away. And if you're a consumer, whether it's in hospitality, whatever goods you're purchasing, people want to be serviced and they want to speak to the ownership a lot of the time.
Gotcha.
And more, it's fading away.
Yep. A reminder that Jmore's JBiz Entrepreneur Series is brought to you by Nemphos Braue, offering big firm expertise and boutique service with lawyers experienced in all aspects of business and corporate law. Nemphos Braue strongly supports entrepreneurs and emerging businesses. Their subsidiary, Old Line Government Affairs, provides government relations, procurement, state lobbying services with strong Maryland relationships and bipartisan access. We're talking with Kevin and Neal Fruman from National Lumber, the iconic landmark on Pulaski Highway in Baltimore City. Guys, you mentioned your dad, Arnold, and you mentioned some of the things that he and his father actually taught you guys. Make sure there's money in the business, take care of your customers, etc. That's all good. But I'm wondering, from generation to generation to generation, I think another aspect of that generational change is how the preceding generation lets the succeeding generation come into the business and take over. So my question to you, Neal, is how did he handle that? And he's still active, but how has
He's
your
very active.
dad handled you guys coming in?
This is a super complicated topic that we see. You see a lot of hiccups happen when I can think of it over and over. We have lots of friends and family businesses that sell lumber, building materials around the country, as well as friends in our community. Often when the older generation does not kind of pass on the responsibility to Kevin and I, things get murky because honestly, many of the employees relate better to Kevin and I. We're closer in age than to my father. My father is not dialed into the right technologies and which metrics we need to track and creating certain budgets and that kind of stuff. He comes from a different school. So we need to figure out, how to utilize his skill set. But ultimately, once he felt comfortable that Kevin and I were capable of doing lots of stuff, he really truly passed on all of the responsibility. And that's a testament to him, because he could have gone the other way and said, you know what, I'm going to be in charge and I'm going to do this and do that. And I'm going to determine who we're going to, bring on board. And I'm going to determine that. And then oftentimes things don't succeed. So what Kevin and I have tried to do, which is different than the previous generation, is to make everything very transparent to our entire team. So our whole team knows how the company is doing. Everything is open and transparent from an information standpoint, which, we're using technology the right way. And that's not stuff that he was familiar with. So we're very lucky that he was able, incredibly lucky that he was able to allow us to, get to work and do our stuff and try to utilize some of the skills that we've learned. And that's a true testament to him, because we've seen it go south with other situations where the previous generation is just kind of wants to control and wants to hold the power. And we've been very fortunate with that. So do you have anything to add with?
I mean, the only thing I would add, Gary, is that my grandfather was a very difficult, stringent. He was hard on my dad, and it was out of tough love. And that generation grew up through the Depression, and they came from the mindset, nobody's going to bully me around type atmosphere. So I think my dad, by being a byproduct of my grandfather's generation, said, look, maybe this is not the way to govern or to let the next group. And My dad, Gary, is selfless. And if you think about what he has done, he almost came from the mindset, I want to be on the bus, I want to be on the team, but I don't need to be driving the bus right now. Let me sit in the front row.
Exactly. Right. So it brings up another question. Did both of you always want to get into the business? Did you have other opportunities or aspirations to do something else?
I personally, I really didn't. And, when you're a 22 or 23-year-old young man getting out of college, like, do you really know what you want to do? It so happened that I went to work for somebody in the lumber business on the wholesale side. And I have a love for golf, and I knew I could never play professional golf, and that really wasn't. So after a year of working for somebody else, I kind of just wandered in here one day. Little did I know it would be forever. There was never any pressure. And once you start working for yourself and in a team environment, I mean, for a long time, Neal and I worked with my father and my grandfather. My grandfather was coming here every day. My dad was here. My grandfather was still active. I mean, it's very special that was able to occur in my life. But no, the answer to your question is no. And Neal and I, this is where we are today. You almost think about it, it's gone by like that. Because, when we both started, we were in our early 20s.
Yeah. So how many years have you guys actually been together now in the business?
Well, since 9, for me, it would be, when did you come in?
I started in 2001.
And I had probably been here 3 years prior. So yeah, I have been here since 1998.
Yeah, and I would echo all of Kevin's same stuff. I had a job for a few years at a different company coming out of college, and I wasn't quite sure. I never really had pressure, never really thought through what I wanted to do, but it's enticing to be able to work with your family. And Kevin's talking about, in 2005, 2008, when my grandfather would come in here, those are special memories. And that is very rare that a family gets to work together and go from generation to generation. And now, our goal is to say, all right, well, let's see where this goes. Business changes quickly, but that would be amazing if we could keep this thing moving and get to a 6th generation. And it's special. It's wonderful that we're able to work together. I mean, often I work alongside my brother and father. I might not speak to them for more than 5-10 minutes a day. And sometimes when I'm talking to my dad for, 5-10 minutes a day, we are not talking about National Lumber. We're talking about, what we're doing on the weekend or, whatever it might be. So we're very lucky to have this experience.
What's the age difference between you two?
I'm 3 years older.
3.5
So
years.
how did you guys get along as kids?
I think we fought like every brother, right? We definitely had some slugfest, but I think you kind of grow up and you really start to, everybody says the same thing over and over. It's all about the family. That's what really matters at the end of the day. When you're a 12-year-old kid, that probably doesn't resonate with you, but we got along great, I would say, but we were brothers. But
I mean, Gary, I was like a little peanut. And when I was like 10, my brother was almost the same size as me. So when you're a 10-year-old and your 7-year-old brother can beat you in ping pong, how do you think it goes down?
Gotcha. So carry that forward. How do you guys work together today? Like, who's strong in what area? Who picks up the other one? How do you guys manage it?
well, I think that is one thing that has led us to have success, is that we really are not getting in each other's way or trumping each other. We're kind of dividing responsibilities. So Kevin is involved in a sales capacity, kind of overseeing the sales team. And I'm really more working with our finances and our operations. And it's very different in terms. I'm more or less operating different departments, and Kevin is overseeing driving the sales of our business.
Yeah, Gary, and you don't understand the physical dynamic of where we sit daily, but I sit in the head of the bullpen with the guys. I'm the bullpen catcher, and my brother is on the business side of it with our accounting and our operations group. Even though we're only 15 feet apart from each other, we don't sit next to each other every day. So I'm out in the open with all of our sales force, both of our inside and outside salespeople. And
Gotcha.
Neal definitely has a more behind the scenes role, but he's not really behind the scenes.
Gotcha. Hey, let's take a quick detour here. COVID. the pandemic. Now we're what, 2 years into this thing. Hopefully it's on its way out. Who knows? We'll see. Everybody's been affected differently. What has been the effect, Neal, for National Lumber?
COVID started in March of 2020, and for 2 weeks, we were like, 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 weeks, whatever it was, we were like, oh no, are we going to go out of business? What's happening? Like every other business. And then all of a sudden, we're very lucky. It's like everybody wants to do a renovation project. I don't know about you, Gary, but most people I know are doing some sort of renovation project.
We did our
it's
kitchen, absolutely.
Yeah, everybody is buying construction materials. Everybody's doing an addition or doing a kitchen or doing a deck. So what does that mean for us? That means demand has truly been through the roof, and our business from a top line standpoint has grown dramatically in 2 years. But there have been a ton of problems and a ton of challenges. Something that we used to order and get in 4 weeks or 6 weeks, somebody's custom kitchen is now taking 4 months, 6 months, and oftentimes if you order a kitchen for your home, there's 30 individual cabinets. Historically, 1 or 2 cabinets are going to go wrong, and we can get those cabinets filled right away in a week or two, and we can clean the project up and keep going. Well, that's not what's happening now. Now we're ordering, a front door for somebody, and we used to expect it in 2-3 weeks, and now we don't really know what is happening. And unfortunately, the supply chain is getting worse and not getting better. So staffing has been a problem. Trucking around the country is a huge problem. I mean, our business has fortunately grown dramatically, but the supply chain is really messy for everybody. So, there have been some really good things, and then there have been some really challenging things. But at the end of the day, I think we both love it. We love being here. We'll figure out how to get through it. It's just business seems a lot harder to do than it used to. But we are in it, and we're going to figure it out, and we're going to keep moving. How do you think COVID has affected us?
I think just what Neal said, but Gary, from a mental health standpoint with our people, it's been hard.
Absolutely.
And we have always, I think, from an ownership role, thought that people were motivated by money, by salary, by what they can earn. A lot of people that are working, sometimes they just want the flexibility to maybe work from home or have an extra day off. So giving one of our people, letting them leave 3 hours early is huge for them. That's one thing we've learned through COVID. But like Neal said, the people have been home, Gary. They're on Instagram, they're on Houzz, they're on Pinterest. They're looking at windows and doors and landscapes and decks and kitchens. And hey, I'm going to do a project because I'm never going to leave my house again. And the demand has not stopped.
It's important to note also when COVID first was ramping up in March of 2020, most people said, you know what, I'm going to step back, or if I work in a certain environment, I'm going to work from home for 6 months. There was zero stopping the business. It was the next COVID. It's like, oh no, what's happening now? Uh-oh. So there was kind of a series of tosses and turns, and we worked through it. But all in all, things have been okay. But unfortunately, the supply chain is much more challenging than it once was. And it doesn't appear like it's going to be getting better anytime soon. If anything, it seems like it's getting worse.
And Gary, right now it's still very inexpensive to borrow money, and as long as that goes on, people can borrow money and do a home equity line of credit for X amount of dollars, and they can do a sunroom, or they can do a deck, or they can do a window project or a kitchen project. And as long as that's going on and people can afford it, they're going to do it because more and more people are spending time at home.
So all that information that you guys just mentioned, which is accurate, supply chain issues, employee, mental health, all that stuff happening. Yet at the same time, expansion. You guys have expanded into the Chevy Chase DC area. 2 questions on that, all rolled into one. How did you guys approach expansion? What motivated expansion? And how's it going right now, Neal?
I think the market for supplying building products in this area, it's not somewhat finite, but we've done a very good job of getting a pretty decent market share. We work with a lot of builders, remodelers in Baltimore City, Baltimore County. And I think we started to understand, oh my gosh, there's this market 40 miles away that is 5 times the size of our market. There's so much business down there. It's vast. So we started trying to make some inroads, getting some sales guys down there, and gradually it's grown. And we now have a satellite office in the Chevy Chase market where we've got a sales team, and there's kitchen displays and window displays, and we sell out of there. And part of our strategy is really to push more and more into that market, that DC metro area. And that now is probably as much as a third of our business.
Wow.
3-4 years ago, it was a trace of that. So we just understand where the demand is coming from, and we just need to be very efficient with our vehicles and get them on the road at 6 a.m. and, track things and use technology to understand how long it takes trucks to get in and get back out, and really try to be efficient. But we realize that there's a very large market that's kind of, 40 miles south of us, and let's figure out if we can, infiltrate it a bit. And there's still a ton of upside. We're young. We've got a lot of energy. We're doing this so we can grow. I mean, Kevin said it's not a game. It's not a game. We want to win. We want to grow. We want to do better than yesterday. That is definitely a goal. So there's tons of headaches and all that stuff along the way. Business is definitely challenging, much more than it once was, but we have a very good opportunity to figure out how to grow that business in that market and in other markets.
I would agree with everything with what Neal just said. I think we almost live like in an isolated bubble in Baltimore, Gary, Baltimore Metro. That's the other, Washington's far away. It really isn't. Once you get on 95, it's not that far. And there's an incredible amount of people and work that is done in an area that's really in our backyard.
Gotcha. So I guess the question a lot of people are probably asking as they watch this interview, let's go through the generations real quick, and then I'll get to the question. If I'm missing anybody, let me know. It started with your great-great-grandfather, Leonard, back in the early 20s.
Leonard's our grandfather.
Leonard, I'm sorry, Isidore. Isidore's your great-grandfather.
Correct.
Isidore to Leonard, your grandfather, to Arnold, your father, now to Kevin and Neal.
Yes.
Is there another generation? Is there a sixth generation that you'd like to see happen?
There are 4 middle school and upper school kids, but we're going year to year, and that would be fantastic for our family. But we're truly not talking about that or looking at that, today. Let's let everybody continue to grow up, continue to do what they want, and if that ends up happening, that would be a wonderful thing for us. So we shall see. We all know that generational businesses seem like they kind of don't continue. You read these statistics, 2nd generation, 3rd generation, we've kind of gotten over the hump. I don't think there's a lot of 5th generation businesses that exist for one reason or another, especially as consolidation continues to occur. Large businesses seem to swallow up businesses like us, but our goal is to keep this thing moving because it's exciting. We have a lot of pride working with our family, and we want to keep doing that.
And Gary, we have a lot of fun. It is big, but we do. We have a lot
It
of
seems,
fun.
yeah.
We have a great, we have an incredible group of people. I wish you were here to see us interact with one another, but this is not a mom and pop shop anymore. There's a lot of people floating around that we're responsible for it, and we do everything we can to ensure that we are giving those folks a really great life. As far as our kids, right now, you're a sports guy. They're thinking about playing in the NBA. So
Right. They're little kids. They're great kids, and our goal is just to instill family in them and hope these kids turn out to grow up and be good kids, and we'll see what happens from there.
Well, listen, from a viewer standpoint, a consumer standpoint, I want to tell you something. Your business, you guys, your family, it's a Baltimore treasure. There's no question about it. Congratulations on keeping it going. You guys are really, really special. Thank you so much. And your whole family.
Well, thank you. And we are a Baltimore business. We are proud to have our business in the city. If you came into our business, you would see all sorts of Baltimore relics, and we are all about, Baltimore, and we love following Baltimore sports, and we want to be involved in the community. Absolutely.
And Gary, the Jewish community to my family is an enormous part of our fabric.
Absolutely.
Really involved in Bethel Synagogue, and always have been, and the associated and other forms of Jewish Baltimore. It's part of who we are.
Got it.
Well, thank you, Gary, for inviting us to tell our story. We appreciate it, and this has been a lot of fun.
Right back at you. That'll be the
Gary.
final word, guys. You got it. Thank you so much. And for our viewers, I say so long. Stay well, and we'll meet again soon for another installment of Jmore's JBiz Entrepreneur Series. It's brought to you by Nemphos Braue, supporting corporate growth at every stage of business. Learn more about Nemphos Braue by going online, nemphosbraue.com. That's NEMPHOSBRAUE.com. For Kevin Fruman, for Neal Fruman, and the entire group at Jmore, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.